Why are the innocent punished? Why the sacrifice? Why the pain? There aren't any promises, nothing certain, only harmless phosphorescence. Hello everyone, this is your host Thoreau Smiley, and I'm here on a 3Y chromosome podcast. Who's joining me this week?
I'm Josh CC, and hold on, I need to go re-educate some of the brothers.
I'm Brian Lesh, and I think we should all stick to our set routine and not get unduly agitated.
Good advice.
I'm Jeremy Reed, and we are all just sinners in the hands of an angry God.
And how?
And I'm just a glorified toaster. I'm Alaric Weber.
Last week you were something too. An inanimate object.
It is true, if you hand him bread, it somehow turns toasted.
Toast. Takes a little longer. But...
This is...
I'm a magnificent specimen.
There's glory in that toast.
The owl can't help it. He can't help it.
He's the Gaston of our group. Yes, and this is Harmless Phosphorescence. It's the deep dive movie podcast where we pick a theme or series, we watch the movies, we gather some research into the production and source material, and we tell you about it. This show is brought to you by patrons, like executive producers Michael Beckwith and Atticus Burkett. You also can be a patron. Go to patreon.com/harmlessentertainment. We got a bunch of bonus content up there. We just did our August monthly movie. It was Dr. Detroit.
So good. I've thought about that a lot.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I was expecting to. I was real nervous about how it would age. But it was fun. It was a really fun episode. This month, we're going to be doing Head, the Monkees movie, which is a crazy, crazy thing.
Yeah, the story of the production is fun.
So
Jack Nicholson wrote it.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yep.
That is also going to be a fun episode. That'll be our September one. So patreon.com/harmlessentertainment. There's a ton of stuff you can't get on the main feed there. But this week, we are in the midst of our Alien series, and we're all the way up to Alien Cube.
Was there an alien on board?
Yes. There's definitely something in here with us.
We have no weapons of any kind.
Let's start.
It's here!
Alien 3, for some reason that trailer had, what was that music from? It was like Dangerous Liaisons or something. But
That was a weird trailer.
Yeah, that was
It's all explosions and punches cutting to another explosion or punch or something.
Well, it's actually, it represents the film better than the teaser trailer. Are we all aware of the teaser trailer?
Do you have it? Do you want to play it?
I'll play it.
The audio is the important thing.
Yeah, I mean, even though the audio is only the last 5 seconds.
Well,
I never saw it.
You've not. Oh, here. Let me. Here's the teaser trailer. I'll describe it for our listeners.
Oh my God! Look at that.
We're panning over what looks like a moon or something. Maybe it's in space, very close.
But
panning over.
it's Star Wars style, like the Star Destroyer, where it's moving, the camera stationary.
Yeah, and we're starting to get the alien, the lines.
In 1979, we discovered in space, no one can hear you scream. In 1992, Discover on Earth, everyone can hear you scream.
Yeah,
That's good.
heavily
we never go to Earth
suggesting-
at all.
Yeah, heavily suggesting that it's going to be on Earth.
I mean, not just suggesting. I mean, telling us.
He
Yeah, that's
literally-
like directly being like, "Hey, we're on Earth this time."
Well, I've heard that they justified it in that, you know, the audiences are on Earth screaming at the movie screens that they're watching on Earth. That's like, guys, you knew what you were doing.
I mean, it's a testament to, even then how stupid they thought we all were. Like, we can't say on a prison planet but like, that's too complicated. Say Earth, they know that planet.
Well, and script number 1 of 12, I think, may have implied Earth or another planet.
That
like dealer's choice, director's choice kind of thing.
Yeah, that trailer was put out before they had a finished script.
Which means
clearly.
they didn't have David Fincher attached, right?
Not yet when that came out.
Because it wasn't finished until Fincher had already accepted the role and had to rewrite.
Well, now it makes a little more sense because without knowing how it was ending, it could have gone to Earth for all.
It would have made sense
without knowing. I think they should have
cool
come to
ending.
Earth at least by this movie.
I think
like having these aliens on very sparsely populated areas is it's good for tension sometimes. It's so funny. Last week we talked about how Alien 2 or Aliens, how that trailer was so exciting and how it totally advertised what it sold, and then this one just like in a darkened closet, no one can see you scream.
yeah.
You like Alien. Here's more Alien.
Alien.
No,
Here's a question. Is the only time we've seen xenomorphs on Earth in the Alien versus Predator movies?
yes.
That's what I'm curious.
Yes.
That's crazy.
They should have
That's
brought those
crazy.
to Earth, man.
Mm-hmm. No, at the time I remember before this came out, the talking. I don't know if this the schoolyard. It was like middle school or like freshmen in high school. But the talk was that it was going to come to Earth for Alien 3, then Alien 4 was going to go to the alien homeworld. That's my memory of what the public consciousness was.
That was the buzz.
Which Dark Horse had been telegraphing for a few years at that point,
Mhm.
right? Those Dark Horse comics existed at this point. Right?
Yeah,
Yes.
they did. They
Yes.
did, yeah.
Yes.
Alien
In fact, that's where the AVP started, right? Like it was first a
Yep.
comic storyline.
Yeah.
That's where they gave it the weird Yacha or whatever name.
Well, and by all accounts, Sigourney Weaver insisted on dying in this one, much like Han Solo for The Force Awakens.
Respect.
Yeah, because she
Mhm.
didn't want to be in an Alien versus Predator movie, which they were saying was going to be the next one.
I feel bad for her in this one.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I do.
I
I,
feel
don't know
less-
if I feel bad for Ripley or Sigourney Weaver.
I feel less bad for Sigourney Weaver than I thought I would after learning more about this movie.
Yeah, but we'll get into that in a few minutes. In the meantime, this movie, it was released May 22nd, 1992. The theatrical cut has a running time of 114 minutes. It cost $60 million, and it made $159 million, which isn't exactly disastrous, but isn't super great.
It's no Alien or Aliens.
Yeah.
Or Predator at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not. So
Didn't Aliens make like 10 times this budget?
yeah, Aliens
Yeah.
made a ton of money. Ton. But yeah, May 22nd, 1992 was when it came out, and so we'll play the box office top 10 game. This is the game where I will describe the top 10 movies of the week of May 22nd, 1992. And the fellas here are going to try to guess the movies I'm describing. We've actually done this one before. I'm not going to tell you what movie, but we have done this one. So, at number 10 for the week of May 22nd, 1992, two New Yorkers accused of murder in Alabama call in the help of their
My cousin Vinny.
My cousin,
yes,
yeah.
of their cousin Vinny. Yes. At number 9 this week, two slacker friends try to promote their TV show.
Wayne's World.
Wayne's World. It is.
There's a Wayne's World 2 actor in this. The dude who was the roadie, the sage-like roadie. The
yeah.
British.
Yeah.
They want a green M&Ms, but only green. I found a sweet shop. Sorry. That dude was in WW2.
WW2.
Wayne's World 2. I've been making that joke since the 90s, or since the early 2000s.
At number 7 this week at the box office. A Hollywood studio executive is being sent death threats by a writer whose script he rejected. But which one?
Oh, The Player.
Yes. Roger Altman's my personal favorite Altman
It's
film.
my favorite. Yeah, it's mine. He's made a few. Not all of them were good.
Yes, including Popeye, which we covered.
We covered Popeye.
Yes.
That movie is a fever dream.
Popeye? Yeah. It works in a lot of ways, but it's weird.
Yeah. At number 6 this week, a new family member upsets the dynamic of the family, but then is kidnapped by a medical person and his henchman.
Stuart Little? No. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
Al, what'd you say?
Beethoven?
Beethoven, yes.
Oh.
Yes.
The Charles Grodin children's vehicle.
Yeah, Charles Grodin. Because
We were talking about Bill Maher talking against.
you know what kids love? Charles Grodin.
They love the dry, acerbic wit of Charles Grodin.
I mean, I did, but
I did too.
I did.
Now that I'm
Yeah,
thinking
I'm
about it, yeah.
I always thought he was hilarious as a dad.
Yeah, same.
no, you know what's funny? Apparently, about 10 years ago or so, they were trying to make Midnight Run 2, or De Niro was like in on it, trying to make Midnight Run 2. And one of the big reasons that they didn't is because Charles Grodin refused to leave Connecticut.
Good for him. He's like,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Either
Yeah.
you make it in Connecticut or I don't do it. It's a pretty great way to
One of my
say no.
favorite cameos is in So I Married an Axe Murderer. The cop is trying to commandeer his car. He's like, no, I don't think so.
Yes.
But I'm a police officer.
At number 5 this week, a violent police detective investigates a brutal murder that might involve a seductive novelist. This is a movie.
We did this.
Basic Instinct.
Basic Instinct. Yes, indeed. Basic Instinct.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, it was. At number 4 this week, 2 high school students make a new friend.
Weird Science?
No, but that does describe it, doesn't
yeah.
Encino
That's a good
Man.
guess.
Encino Man.
Encino.
Oh, we did that one too. 92. It was a good year for me.
Yeah, Alien 3 is the 3rd movie in this top 10 list we've done. At number 3 this week, a young Irish couple flee to the United States, but struggle to obtain land and prosper
Far and away.
far and away.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure that's 5 Goes West.
No.
Which is
They were,
infinitely
they
better
were
than-
Jewish mice.
Yeah. These are wasps.
You right.
Actual wasps.
We remake
They
it
look-
with wasps. Disney, you're into remakes right now.
Actual
me up.
wasps playing.
It's got to be better than the Bee movie. Or ants.
The Bee Movie, a movie about a woman who wants to fuck a bee.
Bee. And
I
that
rewatched.
bee- Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say I rewatched Ants. What the fuck was up with that movie, man?
Woody
They
Allen
were
and
trying to put
Sylvester
some.
Stallone.
They were trying to put some themes in there. They were Like, kids were not picking up on this. You understand that, right?
And again, that elite New York Jewish sense of humor
Yeah.
speaks to children.
You know, all of the kids that are watching Crimes and Misdemeanors and Hannah and her sisters are going to come see this.
Yeah.
At number 2 this week, I'm just going to read it straight. Returning from LV 426, Ellen Ripley crash lands on the maximum security prison, Fiorina 161, where she discovers she is unwittingly brought along an unwelcome visitor. They try to hide the fact that there's an alien in the alien.
An alien?
This motherfucker brought John Candy with him.
Oh, he's always welcome. John Candy always
he was
welcome.
driving.
Yeah, barf.
There were too many numbers in that description.
So many.
Yeah, as if we know. It starts
Yeah.
with...
Is that worse or
On
better
L-
than Greg and Jackie were just married and this is their first fight?
Right.
Yeah. No, as if people are going to be like, oh, she was coming back from LV 426.
Oh, that's no good. Yet the teaser's
should have
like
went to
Earth.
25. They have Waffle
No.
House there.
We had the GPS entered wrong. Recalculating.
And
They fucked that alien up at the Waffle House.
number one.
Yo, man.
Yo,
Yeah, no. The alien
Space
is
Waffle House.
the alien doesn't stand a chance against a pissed off Waffle House employee. At number 1 this week, 2 partners pursue a former LAPD officer who
Lethal
uses
weapon. 3.
3. Yes.
2. 3.
3. It's
Yeah.
3. It is 3. Yes. Yep. They added Pesci
I should
to the
have chosen
mix.
that series. Oh, they added him in too.
Yes. Yeah, but he is back.
Oh yeah,
And
because
he's-
he stole the show.
He's peeking up between they're doing the back-to-back pose, and he's peeking up between them.
He's picking up.
Hello.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that poster. I love that series. I don't care.
Yeah, no, that's
Same.
we'll be doing that at some point
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. And that
Because we're not too old for this shit.
not yet. I don't think. That is the box office top 10 game for the week of May 22nd, 1992, which brings us to the production of Alien 3. So, okay. Aliens, the second film, which we covered last week, directed by James Cameron, was a big hit. So 20th Century Fox immediately was like, let's make more. Brandywine Productions, who owned the rights, was not especially enthusiastic. They didn't want to do a repeat of 1 and 2. They talked about it for a while, and they finally decided that they wanted to focus on the Weyland-Yutani Corporation and why they were so intent on using the aliens as biological weapons.
And a Cold War allegory.
Yes. It would be an allegory about the Cold War. They decided to do a 2-movie story, which would
The original script focused on Bishop and Michael Biehn Hicks.
Yeah, Bishop and Hicks basically would be the protagonists of the third film. Sigourney Weaver's character was going to basically remain asleep through the whole thing and then return in the fourth movie as, you know, the hero.
And Newt was sent home.
Yeah,
To
Newt
her
was
family.
fine. I gotta say,
So-
they did Newt dirty.
Super dirty. Also, it's cryo sleep, right?
Yes.
They were technically fridging her for a movie, is what I'm gathering.
Literally.
They literally were going to fridge her for a movie.
Yes. So
I think it's an interesting choice. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to have Ripley sit a movie out and to have the other 2 characters that were just introduced have a bunch of shit happen to them and then have her deal with the fallout in the following movie.
Oh yeah, no,
creative.
I say that with no vitriol. I just
yeah,
think
no,
it's
no, no, no,
funny.
no.
It's a detail.
But yeah, just thinking about that would be a cool plot. Guaranteed 2 movies out of it too. More money.
yeah, absolutely.
Everybody wins.
So So 20th Century Fox, agreed. They were a little skeptical about leaving Ripley out of the third movie, but they agreed. And they said they had to get Ridley Scott back to direct them. Ridley Scott agreed. And then in 1987, they had William Gibson, cyberpunk author William Gibson, write a script. Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's probably his most famous one.
Wasn't the original plan Ridley would do it Cameron would do the fourth one if Ridley would do the third one, was how I read that.
I didn't hear about Cameron doing the fourth one.
And Ridley accepting was hinging on Cameron saying like, yeah, sure, I'll do another one, but Ridley's got to do the first sequel before I do another sequel.
That makes sense. Either way,
I'll only make it if they film it in Connecticut, basically.
Yeah, either way, neither of them came back. So William Gibson turned in a script that was very much based on the treatment that what are their names? David Giler and Walter Hill of Brandywine had made. He said that it explored a lot of the Cold War themes, and that there was a Marxist space empire,
the UPP,
that they that was in opposition to Weyland Yutani, so you've got communism versus capitalism,
corpo fascists.
Yep. And at that point, Ridley Scott had already dropped out, and they brought in Rennie Harlin to direct.
Oh. He was hot then.
Yeah, Rennie Harlin got attacked. Rennie Harlin, he did Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. What else had he done prior to this? Because I know his 90s stuff I'm pretty familiar with, but...
he made that weird pirate movie with his then wife, Gina Davis.
Yeah, Cutthroat Island. That was in 95. At this point, Nightmare on Elm Street 4 was the biggest movie he had made at this point.
Die Hard 2.
He hadn't made it yet.
That was in 1990.
Right, but we're in 1987 still, Al.
Oh, right. Sorry. Time.
I didn't realize that of it yet.
Yeah. No, this movie took like 6 years for them to get it made.
Yes.
12 drafts.
There were big gaps in all of these, or at least the first three.
Yeah. So, so they brought in Rennie Harlin. The Sulaco drifted into an area of space claimed by the Union of Progressive Peoples, our space commies. And then they go to a space station that is also a space station / mall, a shopping mall.
Yeah. That's where inevitably we're going. If we colonize another planet, there'll be a McDonald's in no fucking time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Forgot the mall details. So the UPP, the communists have a shopping mall.
Yes,
ironically.
Huh. You got pocket
I thought
money.
the state just decided what.
Yeah.
It's the people's shopping mall. They seized the means of production.
It's the people's.
Our Claire's, comrade.
Yeah.
Our arcade.
Yeah.
They'll never run this gap.
They seized the Cinnabon.
I would. That'd be the first.
Yeah.
The world's ending.
Right there with you, Josh.
Yeah. You guys would
Shoving
lose
my
it to the
backpack.
Orange Julius clan, though.
Yeah.
Oh man, gotta watch out for them.
Oh, you mean the Are they from Meteor Man? I've already forgot the Baby Lords.
The Baby Lords?
And their orange juice.
I mean, pretty much most space stations we see in are malls.
Deep Space Nine was a mall.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
it
true.
really was.
Yeah. More of a bazaar, I would say, than a mall.
Yeah, it had
More of a flea market.
War crimes.
I'm being reductive, but the Ferengi dude. Yeah, there was commerce.
I mean, ultimately, if there are civilians and it's not just like a military or astronauts station, then a space station by default kind of just becomes like a mall / apartment complex.
I mean,
Right,
hell,
you go for goods and food.
We managed to put
Exactly.
stores in the Pentagon. Like that has them all in it.
Yeah.
That was his script. Basically, the aliens overrun the space mall and they have to save.
So there's an important
Dawn of
thing
the
in
Dead.
Gibson's script. Not that it's important, but it happens in Gibson's script. So at the end of Aliens, we see Bishop torn in two by the Queen. Sticks her tail through him, rips him in half, and then we see Ripley put him in a bag and leave him in the ship with them as they go into cryosleep. In Gibson's script, he wakes up and starts to go like, whoa, it's warm in here. Whoa, why is there fog on the glass? Whoa, we landed at a space station. Whoa, there's an egg growing out of me. That's how Gibson answered the question of how do you get an alien onto the ship. The Queen implanted a undeveloped egg in Bishop's body and used that.
And through the xenomorph capabilities, it became like a techno alien. It was like a cyborg
The
alien.
hybrid, they called it. So
It had glow sticks.
the Gibson script, not to get too deep into the Gibson script, we don't have time for all that, but a lot of the ideas in the Gibson script are revisited in Prometheus and Covenant, which makes me think that Ridley was like, these ideas are so good, I want to go back to them. And there are all things that just got completely washed away with all the other editions of the script.
So this Gibson script has been produced as a comic, an audiobook, and a novel. So it exists out
The
there.
comic is incredible. It's so good. I mean,
I
it's
got
not perfect, but it's so good.
I gotta peep that. So my question is though, does it end with the people realizing that all they needed to stop the xenomorphs was to give them a hot dog on a stick?
It should. It should.
I don't remember how it ends, actually.
It ends with the tease for the fourth one is how the original script ended. I don't know if they adjusted that for the, one for the comic or audiobook, but
I want to see a xenomorph by a corn dog.
At the space mall.
You guys got the Pepsi ad, right? Or you get to see him drink a Coke.
Yep.
The choice of a new generation.
he's just a fella who's here for our goods and services. So either way, Fox was like, "Nah, we're not going to do this, William Gibson." So they hired Eric Red to write a script. Gibson did 2 drafts. Eric Red then came on because Rennie Harlan suggested him. Eric Red wrote The Hitcher and Near Dark, both kind of cult horror movies.
Yeah, those are both cool.
Yeah. So at this point, we're up to 1989. Yeah, his script was starting over from scratch. It had an entirely new set of characters and new breeds of the alien. It started with a team of special forces boarding the Sulaco and finding that all the survivors were implanted with eggs. And then they took the ship to a small town USA space station. All of these are like, what kinds of space stations should we go to?
They're treating these space stations like George Lucas treats planets. They're like, Mall Space Station, America Space Station. George Lucas is like, Desert Planet, Ocean Planet.
Everything.
Of course, on Small Planet.
Yeah.
True.
So basically basically that's it. Yeah, it's like small town USA has to fight the aliens.
Alien versus Predator Requiem, right? It's basically Alien versus Predator Requiem without the Predator in it.
And that was a really awful movie. So I'm glad that didn't get made.
Minus
I don't think
autism as
I saw.
an evolutionary superpower plot line.
Well, that's the one that pops up in The Predator, the Shane Black one.
Is that the one?
Yep.
Oh, I got to go back and maybe not watch all those movies. Maybe
Don't. Maybe, but don't.
There's a bunch of really bad movies in there.
You can imagine.
They taint my Alien viewing experience. I can handle this and the next one.
So, okay. Basically, that one was rejected. So they didn't like William Gibson's script because they thought it wasn't bold enough and didn't stray enough and didn't add enough extra from their treatment. And
it
then,
was a sequel to Aliens.
Yeah.
Was the complaint.
Yeah. And then they didn't like the Eric Red script because they said it was too different and didn't have enough.
I forget the words that they used. What the fuck is happening down there? What the fuck are they doing? Is that the guy that got fired? That was like the producer note that happened the day he got fired.
That I think that may be Eric Red. No, that's David Twohy.
Oh, okay, because that happens a couple of times.
I never know how to say this dude's name.
Yeah.
Twohy. No, Twohy. It is Twohy.
Is it Twohy?
It is David Twohy. So David Twohy was brought on at that point, and they said, start with the Gibson script, but make it good, and also take out all the communism, because the Berlin Wall's come down at this point now, and communism is no longer our boogeyman.
And interstellar travel is, I don't know.
So
Marxism really relies on a captive audience.
So
being able to leave the situation is...
Yes.
Yeah.
So at this point, Tui is the one that came up with it being a prison planet. He said there, it was a prison planet that was, they were doing illegal experiments on the aliens for biological warfare. That was like the whole thing. It was just prison planet.
Which is cool. That's a cool concept.
Sure. Prison planet. The whole planet's a prison.
It's an uncredited script doctoring note from Lucas himself.
Yep.
So at this point, Rennie Harlan was sick of waiting. And so Fox, in order to make him happy, gave him The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, which was the next film he made.
Wild.
Yeah. Hey, it did bring us Billy Idol's hit Cradle of Love.
What would we ever do without it?
Yeah.
What would? Yeah, we wanted to see what kind of range Andrew Dice Clay had.
Yeah.
Turns out none.
Zero range. Yeah. So Tui's script did not have Ripley in it. She died in the spaceship on the way to the prison planet. And so it was rejected.
Lots of Gucci in these scripts.
Yeah. It was rejected because of that. So then they brought in Vincent Ward to write a script. Vincent Ward.
The Vincent Ward?
The Vincent Ward. Vincent Ward is, prior to this, he wrote such films as Vigil and The Navigator, A Medieval Odyssey.
I mean, The Navigator's a complete banger. Don't sleep on it. I've never seen that movie in my life.
I was like,
After this, he would make a map of the human heart, and he directed What Dreams May Come. So,
that's a movie that depicts hell well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't watch it again, but I liked it when I was done.
I'd rather read The Inferno than watch that movie.
Yeah.
Now, okay, Vincent Ward kind of started from scratch, and he had Ripley's pod crash land on a monastery satellite.
On a planet made of wood, right?
The entire planet would be made of wood.
George has to be stopped, guys. George has to be stopped.
How did a building inspector not shut that planet down? Like, this is a tinderbox. You can't
No. And the movie ends with the entire planet burning down.
Just
literally
like, just like World War II Japan. That's what happens when your infrastructure's wood, people. That's what happens when your infrastructure's wood.
Which way is down when you're in space?
In space, no one knows which way is down.
It's interesting. It makes me think of The Expanse, where wood is one of the most valuable things you can have in space, next to like animal skin. You know, things you can't get tend to be expensive. Where the fuck did they get the wood?
But why do you need it?
Yeah.
No, it just
Vampires.
naturally springs. Yeah, space vampires. No, it just springs lumber out of its core. Is the wood core too?
I
It's
don't
all
know.
wood.
The whole planet's wood.
No.
It's like a
One of the-
wooden.
It's like
so
a wooden
there-
ball, like a ski
There's
ball.
concept art of it, and it is a scaffold. It's like it's a space station.
Calling it a
plus Death
planet's a
Star.
little much. It
Well,
is a
it's
space
like
station.
It's a mini little Death Star
So it's like
made of wood.
it's a wooden Dyson
Made of
sphere.
wood.
Basically.
Made of
like
wood.
Noah's Ark.
Sphere.
It's like Noah's Ark in space.
That's almost interesting,
okay.
but still super stupid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because wood is not the best material to build a space station
See,
out of.
and not to be that guy, but if they had called it the Ark and put monks on it, I would be
Yeah.
immediately intrigued. But wooden
That would make
planet
sense.
sounds so stupid.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, and there's like questions you have to ask about like impacts and things like that.
Well, and solar radiation,
Solar radiation,
extra
yeah.
solar radiation, all
Vacuum.
background.
Getting the lumber there.
I mean, so what are we building?
Some
all
guy
wood
standing out there
oxygen?
hammering.
We're building all wood oxygen generators or something out
Like, no.
It's
What is
spaceships with the little orange flag on the back tied to all the boards of lumber.
wood is pretty porous. Also.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not great.
Yeah, and not that great of an insulator. Also,
So, and
a
again,
weird idea.
again, very flammable.
Well, and
Yeah,
fishing-
wood was a good first draft, but we
so
moved
these
on.
these scripts are getting increasingly more crazy.
Yeah.
They're getting to the point where suspending disbelief is not just like a requirement; it's like it's watching the movie. You know, like it's one thing to be like, oh, you can smoke in space because the nitrogen levels are high, and whatever. It's another thing to say this ship is made of wood because metal is evil. Or
Where
something. I don't know.
Where along the way did cocaine start writing these scripts? Like where along
Yeah.
the way did the drugs
Right.
take over in these writers' rooms? Because
They were always there.
I think this one.
Well, okay.
yeah, it's gotta be because this is like
The
it
first
just doesn't
two
work.
are
Did I
just
did I
good.
send you guys the screenshot? I watched a YouTube video on this movie that was fascinating. But the guy screenshotted the quote about Monty Python, and I
Yes.
believe this is where we get to the Monty Python quote.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll find it. Well, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, definitely. Fine. You did send that to us, but okay. So this script, so the wooden planet was inhabited by monks who had
funky monks.
yeah, who didn't have, hadn't seen women in years, and so they thought that Ripley was sent there by the devil, and that the alien was a demon, and that and so there's all of those themes, which made it into the final script.
Let me read the quote because it's just hilarious. It's insane. We were trying to do the Monty Python version of Alien. It was pretty extreme, pretty funny. Vincent was talking about getting John Cleese, Michael Palin, and those guys to play the parts of the Luddites, the monks.
What?
Specific characters were meant to be comic relief. That's John Fasano, who's one of the producers.
Yeah.
Oh, they were off the chain.
Yeah, I'm glad that got reined in.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine them doing it, but
Yeah.
Eric Idle would do it. He'll do anything.
Yeah.
He'll dance for $5 for you.
At this point, Sigourney Weaver said she will only do Alien 3 if Ripley dies. So that was one of that's how the script ended. The whole planet burns up and Ripley dies.
It's funny, her former castmate Bill Murray had the same sort of like, if Venkman dies, I'll
Yeah.
play Venkman again if we get to see him die.
Yeah. So
I want to mention this too. Aside from all of this stuff happening, Sigourney Weaver's having an awesome career run. But she met Charles Dutton, who plays Dylan, and she promised him, next Alien movie I am in, I will get you a role in it.
she held
Cool.
she held true to that promise.
Which is pretty cool, but also begs the question of, could she not have done that for Michael Biehn and the little gal who played Newt too?
Well, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll
much
get
weight
to
to
Newt.
throw
That's hilarious how they dealt with Newt.
oh my God.
Oh, and there's more to that story too.
Instead of ignoring the character and moving on, they kill her. But like, just imagine if in Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade starts with Short Round being
starts
dead.
with an autopsy. An autopsy of Short Round.
You need to cut him open. I need to make sure that there's nothing inside him that's still moving. I
have to make sure the Holy Grail isn't inside him.
All of this belongs in a museum.
Good God.
So at this point, Walter Hill and David Geiler, our Brandywine executives, were like, so Wood Planet, we're not going to do that. So they decided to simply Frankenstein a script together from the different scripts they had themselves.
And here is where the rubber really hits the road. I think these two guys are the reason this movie is what it is.
Yeah, well, because they took bits and pieces of Tui's script and Vincent's script, and they mashed them up together, and then they just said, "Let's make this."
Did you say Walter Hill?
Walter Hill,
director, Butch Cassidy.
Is that the same Walter Hill? That is Walter Hill. He was an executive at Brandywine and a screenwriter and a director.
He's probably not.
He directed The Warriors, 48 Hours, Red Heat.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
No.
It's something to mention about, you notice their names, right? Walter and David. Walter Hill and David Geiler.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, well, we're not remembering because it hasn't happened yet. We haven't watched those movies. But in Prometheus, we have a robot named David. And in Covenant, we have a robot named Walter. I think that Ridley Scott really pays homage to this movie a lot in those two movies, which we'll get to. But anyways.
So at this point, they Frankensteined a script together. Walter Hill, David Geiler. We just discussed Walter Hill, David Geiler, as well as being a Brandywine executive. Did a lot of work in TV throughout the 60s and 70s, and wrote the Postman Always Rings Twice remake from the 70s, the Parallax View, Fun with Dick and Jane.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, right?
Well, David Geiler, I'm talking about, not Walter Hill.
Oh, Geiler, my bad.
Yeah. Walter Hill, yes. Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid and the other ones we mentioned. They brought in Larry Ferguson to kind of patch it together, to help them patch it together. Larry Ferguson wrote Highlander, Beverly Hills Cop 2, The Hunt for Red October. The 2002 Rollerball. Oh, no. Anyways. So, yeah. At this point, they decided to bring in an unknown director who was mostly working in videos by the name of David Fincher.
Madonna was his big video at this point, right?
He'd made a number of them, but yes, he made, let's see.
And Nike ads.
He made ads. He started out as a visual effects producer for ILM. He worked on Return of the Jedi and Temple of Doom. Then he began directing videos and commercials.
Dude has an eye.
For sure.
Like he has an eye.
Guy's just style just drips off of everything he makes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're never getting Mindhunter season 3, man.
Oh, no, never.
Oh, I'm so angry.
And I'm so sad.
Yeah.
I know. So fucking
what,
good. In fact, Bill Tench is in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
What'd you say,
yeah. So let's see. So, and yes, he made a bunch. He did a ton of music videos, including let's see, the Freedom 90 video for George Michael. let's see. He did some for Paula Abdul. Oh, he did the Bombaleo video.
He also did Englishman in New York.
He did Don Henley's The End of Innocence. He did Janie's Got a Gun, Vogue, Madonna's Vogue, Billy Idol's Cradle of Love. David Fincher directed. Can't believe that came up twice organically in this show.
Those were all cinematic videos. They're iconic videos.
Yeah.
Like a distinct 90s. I would say that he's the most 90s director that I can think of.
He is, but he's also
Aesthetically.
My favorite films of his are all from the 2000s and 2010s.
Honestly, I think that was when he was at the peak of his powers. He was.
Zodiac is a masterpiece.
Zodiac,
incredible movie.
I was watching it last night.
Incredible movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Zodiac is so good. So, okay, he followed Alien 3 with 7, which is...
It's his best movie.
I don't think it's his best movie. I disagree. I think it's a great movie.
I think it's a great movie, yeah.
And then The Game, which I think is underappreciated.
The Game is insane. I love that movie. I didn't know that was a
with Michael Douglas?
Yeah.
But I watched that
movie
as a kid a lot.
Awesome.
Which is crazy.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Fight Club, which was kind of like the thing that like made him like a top line, like A-list director.
That's when I noticed his name. For the first time.
Then he made Panic Room, which was good. I think it's a little underrated. It's a weird movie, but it's good.
Panic Room's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, okay, minus The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, he has a run that is incredible.
I mean, people generally liked that movie.
They did. It was a weird movie.
Yeah.
But you know what? People liked it when it came out in the moment, but people's it's diminishing returns. Like when you hear people talk about that movie now, people often talk about how it's one of his weakest.
It's a weird movie.
It wasn't an enduring hit. I think the idea was novel enough to have some word of mouth, and then people saw it and it was like,
Yeah.
And that cast.
Because, he ages in reverse. It's like, that's interesting. Too bad you didn't make it interesting.
Yeah. So this run here, we've got Zodiac, The Social Network, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Gone Girl. I love every single one of those.
Yeah, they're all quality.
All bangers.
I know that Gone Girl gets a lot of credit, but damn, that movie is so perfectly handled.
That might be my favorite Ben Affleck role.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a subtle
one. I don't know about that. It's a tough one, but he pulls it off as the indifferent husband.
Yeah,
it's like, I think it's the most, are you guilty for not caring enough?
Yeah.
It's the most face acting we've ever seen Ben Affleck do, for sure. It's the most emoting in interesting and creative.
I don't know, in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Oh my God.
Put him up.
I mean, I just love him in Dogma. It's still my favorite.
I like Ben Affleck. I'm not gonna lie. It's just the thing with Tom Cruise. Like, they're weirdos, but they're good at what they do.
There are weirdos though at this point. They're America's weirdos.
I cannot get enough pictures of Ben Affleck holding way too many Dunkin' Donuts cups trying to open doors.
Well, I love it.
He's from Boston.
You can't take the Boston out of him.
fucking love Duncan, guy. Oh, that was Casey. I'm like in a Saturday Night Live sketch. Or having Bostoners try different Sam Adams flavors or pizza pie.
Mank, I thought was interesting. I didn't love
that's
it.
A good movie.
Yeah, and then The Killer, I thought was great. I still
haven't seen that.
I need to see both of those.
Oh, I love Fassbender too.
Yeah,
Mank is cool with Bryan Cranston.
Well, and The Killer's great because it's so many interesting choices, like down to like just the like the entire soundtrack is the Smiths, like just
really
wow, that's cool.
I'm sold.
Yeah, I saw a picture of Fassbender in the car, and I was like, "Oh, this looks ominous."
Great! It's a really great movie because it's the entire thing is about like an elite. He's an elite assassin who just keeps fucking up, one fuck up after another.
Like if you're to the point where your job is assassin, I think it's pretty elite, right? I mean, that's not like an open
Sure, if it's your job, absolutely.
One of those run-of-the-mill mailman type assassins.
So all right. So yeah, filming.
I just take out dogs and kids.
So filming began in 1991. We're now 5 years removed from wanting to make this movie.
And the script's not done yet.
The script is not finished. They began filming without a finished script. Let's see. Their cinematographer had to quit 2 weeks in because he had Parkinson's.
Yeah, his Parkinson's started to get really bad, like when they started filming.
Mm-hmm.
Fincher
He was
still
the
works with his son.
cinematographer.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Fincher
That's
ended up
rough.
continuing to work with
That's-
his son for the rest of his career after that, which is pretty neat.
Imagine this is your first job. Like, this is the
Yeah.
first job with real money and backing.
Yeah.
This is the shit show you walk into.
Well, this was so traumatic to David Fincher that he genuinely considered leaving the industry and not being a director.
I
Okay,
get
that's-
it.
He's
That's
only talked
interesting.
about this movie publicly like 3 times.
That's very interesting because this has a lot of Island of Dr. Moreau vibes to me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, all the many scripts, all the many directors, and then, you know, it has the religion aspect. But yeah, to hear that nobody was comfortable in their skin making this movie, it reminds me of that so much. Like, can I get off this island?
Right? And Hill and Geiler, who are both directors in their own rights, by all accounts, would undermine David Fincher constantly on set, give and tell him to do things other than what he wanted to do. They basically kind of like bully co-directed
They filmed
it.
entire sequences to have them arrive on set the next day to be told, Fincher included, the scenes they had recorded the previous days were cut from the movie.
And then again, it's your first job in the industry. What the fuck are you going to say to the guy who directed Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid?
Exactly.
You can't say
Right.
shit.
Well, and
You
he's the
can't.
one who writes the checks.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Yeah.
the one who gets the cameras on set. You
You're-
know? Like, he's paying for the film.
Well, okay.
Think of how many assholes told him to his face that he's the Madonna guy.
Yeah.
You know that
there's-
happened.
I think it's Geiler. There's a Geiler quote, like, I'm going to listen to a guy who sells shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Fuck.
Which
in resp-
Nike
I think-
started the cinematic commercial thing.
Yep.
That was in response, though, to the Fincher comment of, I'm not making a movie that people are going to watch one time. I'm making a movie that people are going to watch at least 5 times. He knew
Well,
what
he
he
was a
getting
great
himself
video
into.
director.
Well, and he
I mean,
chose.
Cheney Got a Gun won awards and shit.
Yeah.
by
That
the-
was a little
by the-
movie.
By the time Fincher signed up for the role, he knew of all the turmoil and turbulence around the script. And he had a friend ask him, I forget who it was, but they were like, why are you doing this? Because I like the movies and I want to make an alien movie. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
why not?
Well, it
You can see
seems
him
that,
trying.
and it seems that this experience was enough that he always kept music video directing in his back pocket because he directed music videos all the way up till 13.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some big breaks, but he was consistently directing videos through the 90s. But yeah, so the script kept changing throughout filming. They were filming pickup shots and all the way in till March 1992. 2 months before it was
May
released.
Was it released?
May. It was released the end of May.
And that's not digital era edited movie.
Yeah.
They're cutting film.
The film was wet when it went to theaters, but so all the way until March '92, including Sigourney Weaver was unaware that the film ended with a chest burster coming out of her, and if you watch, there is no shot of her face and the chest burster together in that. They decided that should be at the end. Originally, she just sacrificed herself without the alien coming out. So she was surprised at the premiere.
We haven't mentioned it, I don't think yet, but the assembly cut, that's not how the assembly cut ends. And again, the assembly cut's not edited by David Fincher. It's edited by somebody at Fox, but they tried to bring it back to what Fincher wanted by removing all the crap that the studio added in the last stretch.
Yeah, he must edit his film, right?
Oh, he edited the film, but he didn't get the final edit on the film.
I meant in generally as some auteur directors stick with the editor. And some
do you think he let anyone else put their hands on Zodiac?
Yeah,
that's a good point.
I'm sure he has an editor that does the
but that's
editing.
Like the homie. That's his dude.
They're sitting there like face like temple to temple, like doing it together,
like working like a cinematographer on set, kind of.
Yeah. They did bring back H.R. Geiger to design Giger. Sorry, H.R. Giger
counter.
H.R. Giger to design the new alien. They wanted him to be more bestial, run on all fours. Originally, he came out of an ox, not a dog.
So, not to derail this whole thing, this movie, when it came out, I was a little kid. I had some toys from this movie. There was a wide variety of alien toys that came out with Alien 3. I think that it wasn't just the dog, and I don't think that it was just the dog or the ox. I think at one point it was the dog and the ox. And he was trying to make that happen. And that's a money thing, obviously, because you want to do another puppet. This puppet's already so expensive. You want to do what new technology for the first puppet? But there's concept art for a bison alien with horns and everything that's much bigger,
which would have been so cool
into the movie.
But you can see why the toys ramped up, because this one's so humanoid and bipedal, and you can do those action figure articulations on it.
Yeah. So as we said, they tried to put a whippet in an alien costume. Of all the dogs,
it's
a whippet.
So cute. It is the
so
cutest
It's super cute.
ever.
I'm an alien, guys. Look at me.
Strut. The assembly cut actually re-edited this scene with the original rod puppet stuff replaced with CGI, and then they intersperse it with the rod puppet stuff again. But it looks so much better than the dog birth thing. It's just kind of shocking and scary sounding.
This is the first time we had a CGI alien in this. There are several shots that are CGI, and you can tell that it's a 1992 CGI alien.
It's a lot of them actually aren't CGI. They're rod puppets shot in front of a blue screen with a rolling camera that's digitally matched, location wise, to the actual camera location on set. I watched a little bit of the behind the scenes, and it's the most nightmare of composition things, and all that's because the key matching or key framing, whatever, you can see all the edges on everything.
Ugh,
Yeah,
that hurts my head. That's
lots of extra steps.
They got Elliot Goldenthal to do the score. The score was recorded during the 1992 LA riots. This has come up many times, which took place April to May. They were recording the score up until in May.
They're like, why did we choose this studio at Florence and Normandy?
I will say this, though. I love the score to this movie. It does a lot for this movie.
It's a good score. I have nothing against the score.
Rushed,
yeah,
it does not feel like it. It feels intense the whole time, except for one moment that
it's the same dude who scored Heat.
Yeah.
Heat, Jeremy and I had to look it up.
Michael Collins, Batman Forever. Okay,
Batman Forever.
Oh, because he works with what's his face, Schumacher. And
Schumacher a
and
lot.
Fincher
are
friends, and Schumacher was who asked Fincher, "Why are you doing an alien movie if it's this nuts?"
That's about it for the production background. Our cast.
Wait, you forgot. Hill and Geiler left partway through the movie. They left Pinewood to go back to LA and left Fincher by himself with the production, and then basically dropped off of the face of the earth to the production for the last couple of months.
Yeah, they basically gave up. But then
until the edit.
Yes. Well, and the pickup shots, because they're the ones that insisted that the chest burster come out. And
which is just crazy to disappear and then come back and be like, yoink.
Studio noted to death.
Sigourney Weaver got $4 million for this this film.
Underpaid.
Yeah. In between Aliens and Alien 3, let's see, she won an Oscar for Gorillas in the Mist. She made Working Girl. Her follow-up to this was Dave, the movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
She hasn't made a bad picture.
Yeah.
Like, name a bad Sigourney Weaver.
Frozen Empire.
Damn.
I mean, she's only technically in it. Yeah.
In that. Yeah.
Charles S. Dutton plays Dylan. Charles S. Dutton, best known as Rock from TV's Rock. He was also in Rudy, the Sean Astin movie, not Rudy Giuliani biopic.
That's where I recognized him from. I was like, I remember him from something from my childhood. Rudy,
Menace to Society, A Time to Kill.
Yep.
What was he in with her?
With Sigourney?
Yeah.
He was in Crocodile Dundee too. No Mercy, Best of Times. I don't know.
Maybe it was theater stuff, because I know he did a lot of theater, and he was doing theater when he got the call for this.
Not
had to
Q&A,
apply the role.
Jackknife. I don't.
Rock wasn't on a long time, and it wasn't all that, but it stands out. It was one of the first sitcoms that Fox, as a fledgling network, like really put out there. It was a fun show for not being around that long.
Well, and it was an interesting sitcom in that it was a lower middle class, working class African American family, and that's just not. There weren't a lot of shows like that.
No,
on
good times.
I have complex feelings about Rock, but I will not derail.
Yeah, we won't get into that
1990s tangent. But
okay. They did the thing where they would do live episodes too, and they do multiple performances per night for each different time zone.
Do Love Alive taped show back in the day. That was an art. That was an art.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
We've got Charles Dance as Jonathan Clemens. Charles Dance, probably best known as Tywin Lannister at this point. He was also in Michael Collins. He's in Mank. He worked with Fincher again. Good for him. He was in The Golden Child?
That's crazy.
Last Action Hero. He was the bad guy in The Last Action Hero. But yeah, he worked a lot.
So he was on the ground floor of Evil Just Needs a British Accent.
Absolutely. He was the evil British guy in the 90s.
Awesome.
Brian Glover plays the Warden Andrews. Brian Glover, we saw him in American Werewolf in London. He's just like one of those British character actors. Let's see. He was he's in so many things. We've got Ralph Brown as Aaron. They nicknamed him the 85. Apparently, he signed up just to be like, he was supposed to just be like a regular dude when he got the role, and they rewrote him to be dumb afterwards, and he was real pissed off about it.
Fincher. So I watched an interview with this dude, and this is why I mentioned my comment about Sigourney Weaver. They had a really contentious working relationship. Sigourney and this
guy, weird.
And that was kind of what he said, where he was like, I don't know, I was playing this tiny bit part, but every time we would work together, she would go, why is his head not shaved? Why is he not dirty? What's with this? Is that how you're going to say the line? Like constantly just kind of chewing on him. And I was like, I don't know if that's like her process or whatever, But he said that David Fincher came up to him at one point and said, "Hey, I see what's going on. Don't worry, I got you." Basically, to him.
Oh my God!
Came up and just gave him like a hug, but wrote in, because they were writing the script on the fly, but wrote in his redemption arc. Like under the noses of the production.
Ralph Brown is probably best known as Danny the drug dealer from With Nail and I. He's the guy that was the roadie.
Wow.
The roadie on Wayne's World 2. Yeah.
I forgot about With Nail and I.
Yeah. And of course he played Rico Lee in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. But let's see. Tom Woodruff Jr. Is the guy that was in the alien suit. He did a lot of. Let's see. He did a lot of special effects stuff for Starship Troopers, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. Pete Postlethwaite played. Oh my God, his character's name was David Postlethwaite. They just gave him his own last name.
What? It sounds like a real idiot, like trying to evade the cops.
Right.
It gives a different first name, but the same last name.
Oh my God, Pete Postlethwaite. He was Lost World. He was the big game hunter. He's one of those guys that you see in everything. After you realize.
Well, and you can't miss him. He's a weird-looking guy.
Yeah, 100.
Weird-looking guy.
Lots
also,
of eyebrows.
Whenever I think of him in these roles, because I always think of The Usual Suspects. His bit in that.
Yeah, he's good in that.
He is one of those actors who, like, no matter what, if you say his name, like, we think of, like, leading men in Hollywood and stuff, and Tom Cruise, people like that, but he is a character actor who is like universally recognizable, and his name too. Like
Peter Stormare and Stephen Tobolowsky.
Yeah.
And they are ubiquitous, but at the same time you can forget who they are. Whereas it's to the point now it's like, that's John Travolta, that's Tom Cruise, that's Brad Pitt. You can't get past that mentally. But these character actor dudes, you can. You're like, oh, I've seen him most of my life, but he's definitely this character. He's not.
Absolutely.
Unless you're Dave Postlethwaite. American cousin.
Yeah. So let's see. Holt McCallany is Junior. He's the guy that tried to rape Ripley. He's just kind of another
in Fight Club.
He is in Fight Club.
Sure.
Yeah, he is in Fight Club. He was in Nightmare Alley and The Iron Claw recently. He was also in Mindhunter. He was Special Agent Bill Tench.
Oh, duh. He's Tench.
Yeah. So.
He's real good in The Iron Claw also. Very good.
I haven't seen that yet. Okay, so let's see. Peter Guinness played Gregor.
I was going to say real quick, we saw Colt in, I think it was Batman v Superman. He's the dude on the rooftop, the burglar.
Oh.
That he keeps like almost throwing off the building and then reeling him back up.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, that's Colt. Whatever.
Peter Guinness, as I said, is Gregor. He was in Sleepy Hollow, and he was also in the Snyder cut of Justice League. I feel like that's kind of covers it. Everyone else is pretty far down the list there. This movie has 44% on Rotten Tomatoes, 46% audience score, and it was reviewed by Siskel and Ebert.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So ready for this.
Because Gene was over it last movie.
Yeah, Gene wasn't on board for Aliens, so... I love how when we see them do sequels, they're always like, well, the last one was great, even though the last one they like gave a pan to.
Sigourney Weaver has just crash landed on a prison planet in Alien 3, the third and least exciting, but in some ways the most interesting movie about that plague of spider-like monsters from outer space. Weaver's lifeboat has brought her to a shabby, dreary planet inhabited mostly by sex offenders, and she suspects there may have been a stowaway on her craft, another one of those loathsome, slimy creatures who have been crawling into her nightmares ever since the first Alien in 1979.
What happened? What started the fire, Bishop? Can you hear me?
Alien 3 is probably going to be a disappointment to most of the fans of the first two movies because it's dark, depressing, grungy, and lacking in the kind of high-tension action that closed the first and especially the second movie. But there are interesting elements here, especially the art direction, which creates this prison world in shades of rust and mold and despair. It's a great movie to look at, but the chase scenes at the end are drawn out and repetitious, and so I have to give it a thumbs down. This is probably the best-looking bad movie I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I had exactly the same reaction, too. I thought she did a real good job playing this character again the third time, and she makes her character interesting a third time. But I didn't think there was anything supporting her except maybe the look of the picture. The monster didn't show me any new tricks, and I felt, as you said, that I was really watching just a monster at loose in the house movie, and I got tired of it at the end.
You know, I looked at Aliens, the second movie, on Laserdisc not very long ago. The end of that movie really winds up with a lot of tension. She has to go back into that space area station to try to rescue the little girl from the monster, and there's a lot of devious stuff going on. Remember when the monster figures out how to run the elevator? That was a great moment in that movie. Well, and in this film, it's just chase. They run around and around, and the monster runs around after them, and it goes on, and that's it.
That's it. Coming up next, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman co-star in Ron Howard's Irish epic, Far and Away.
Okay,
I have to say that
a thumb from Gene.
Yeah, Gene didn't even bother. I love that Roger says like they're an indigenous species, like mostly sex offenders.
Mostly sex offenders.
That's what the planet is inhabited by.
Interesting credit to the set design, though.
Yes.
Yeah. No, and they recognized right away that there was an eye behind the filming. Like, right away they could tell. Like, David Fincher knew how to make something look good.
I love how they repeatedly refer to the alien as the monster. It's like this is the third movie titled Alien.
It's in the title, guys.
I know. That's such an old man Gene Siskel thing.
Yeah.
Like Godzilla and the Xenomorphs are no different in his mind.
They really aren't.
He's like, that's a guy in his suit. We know, Gene. Shut up.
and they're both devoid of any symbolism.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Hey, guys, do you think the Japanese people have some feelings about the atomic bombs that they're expressing through their art?
No, they're just
like,
lizards, man.
He's like, I want every movie to be My Dinner with Andre.
He wanted every movie to be Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
That was his favorite movie. His self-declared favorite movie.
All I need is Travolta and Wallace Shawn. We're good to go.
Kind of me too. I'd get in that car.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Sure.
Gene Siskel owned the Saturday Night Fever white jumpsuit or leisure suit. He purchased it and had it in his house on the wall.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's now I have some more respect because that's some geek fanboy shit right there.
Yeah.
I mean, Siskel, he was real one. I just his takes are bad often.
He just I
have
older now.
Yeah.
Than he did then.
I have more and more respect for Roger and less for Gene the more of these we watch.
Yeah.
But
Roger seemed to enjoy his profession.
Yeah.
Gene did not.
Gene seemed put out by having to watch these movies.
Roger liked movies and Gene liked to talk shit about movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just liked the critical aspect.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, because like Roger, like he was talking about, like he went back and was watching the laser disc of Aliens.
Man, broke out the laser disc.
I know. But yeah, that's fanboy stuff. That's an appreciator of films.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they're fun. It's magical.
We like these.
For any good critic, there has to be an appreciation first. Because anyone can say what they don't like. I could talk to you about green peppers on pizza. I ate it. But that's not interesting. You know, you have to appreciate something to be able to break it apart. Star Wars is a fantastic example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one hates Star Wars like Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
You know?
And they have points to be made.
And Alien fans. I think they're second only to Star Wars fans.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Star Trek doesn't reach this level of vitriol towards its own stuff.
Star Trek's a weird fandom though, because they're just like
yeah.
There's so much
just happy
Star
they're
Trek.
making it. Yeah.
There's so much Star Trek.
I'll say the Star Trek fans did a good job of like drumming out all of the weirdos as soon as like Star Trek became, because Star Trek was always inclusive, but as it became even more inclusive and complex with some of those facets, the weirdos on the internet started up. They quickly were like, nah, get out of here with that.
It's a lot harder to be sexist and racist in regards to Star Trek than it is Star Wars or even Alien, which is insane because Sigourney Weaver is our one female action hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the bummer of this universe is that like even at this point in our future technology, we still have Marxist planets and Marines and corporate overlords. It's like, I like Roddenberry's vision, but I like the Federation of Planets.
I'd rather not
do anything.
Return to the mines in space.
Yeah,
right.
Got to work at the space mines. I'm a space trucker. We're a space marine. Like, God damn it.
Yeah,
like Starfleet is demilitarized for a good portion of the series. Like, they
there's
don't
no
function.
money necessarily.
Yeah,
I mean, you make a replicator, you don't need money. You just have.
Right.
Seriously.
Yes,
the infinite money generator at that point.
At that point, you can be a French guy with a British accent. No one cares.
Yeah, but no more territorial wars and shit like that. But yeah,
I mean, really, if we're being real, Picard was just a nod to the Henrys because they were French guys with British accents.
Sure, no. But in
a lot of the French monarchy.
In the episode where he went back to his family vineyard in France, his brother has a French accent.
Hey, well, it's like whatever world our boy in good gosh, one of the James Bond himself, Scottish man, Sean Connery. I'm a Spaniard in Highlander.
Highlander. Yeah,
that was amazing.
That's right.
Yeah,
I just assumed that Picard went to boarding school in England.
It makes sense.
They sent him away. They were like, "Nah, man."
Yeah, he spent a lot of time at Starfleet in San Francisco, so that's why he has a beard.
His feet were too small to smash grapes.
So they sent him off to Starfleet.
You tiny-footed British.
So, all right, guys, are we ready to jump into the movie?
In the year 2525.
Here we go. This is Alien 3. We open on the most depressing montage over a credit sequence ever.
Very weird.
Just jarringly edited.
Yeah.
Like there's no timing to it. It's just meh.
This is the 9 Inch Nails video version of Aliens.
Yeah.
The
transmission feed cut.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Fincher did direct a 9 Inch Nails music video, so there we go.
I think he did Closer, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
They made some cool videos.
Yeah. I mean, that's the aesthetic, that 90s edgy 9 Inch Nails aesthetic. Marilyn Manson, like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it completely undoes everything from the last movie immediately. An egg hatches aboard the ship, releasing a face hugger. A fire starts. The ship's computer launches an escape pod with Ripley, Newt, and Hicks. Hicks and Newt die. Bishop is garbage. Crashes on Fury 161. the prison planet inhabited by sex offenders.
Arena 161. Fury's just a nickname.
Yeah.
By mostly sex offenders.
Fiorina, yes, who I loved in the Mad Max movie.
Imagine getting sent there for check fraud or something.
Like, am I the only one who wasn't a rapist here?
You mentioned rape twice.
Yeah. So the inmates recover the crashed pod. They've got themselves a puppy, and the puppy gets face hugged.
So, and there's a different version with the ox that gets face hugged, and it's weird that they're both separate. Both versions don't work independent of each other. It's really bizarre how these two movies, if you watch both versions, it's not like, oh, they made choices that are different. Like there's this overlap where both of them are missing information from the other.
Weird.
It's so weird.
It's interesting that this is specifically a correctional facility for double Y chromosomes.
Yes, they specify. So
a couple of times.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you're born intersex and you got double Y, this is where you're going.
Yeah, as if prisons are co-ed in the past.
Right. Well, I think they were just trying to. I think they were trying to make this is in the future. This is how we say a male correction facility.
No. Double Y chromosome is different. It's
we have
X.
Oh, that's right.
Y.
We're XY.
XY.
Yeah, we're XY.
That's right.
But I mean,
wait, and is okay. Yeah.
So what's YY?
What is double Y?
It's XYY.
It's an uncommon genetic.
One extra chromosome. We know what that is, and none of them seem to.
Dr. Al, tell us.
Also known as Jacob's syndrome, may include being taller than average and an increased risk of learning disabilities.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're like, this is prison for disabled rapists.
Prison eugenics, I guess.
We have a wooden planet and a planet for disabled sex offenders.
The future's amazing.
And you still have to go to work.
What's your job now? It's going to be the same, but in space.
Yeah. All of Ripley's problems revolve around going to work.
It comes later, but I have a note. Later on, she says, "You've been in my life so long, I can't remember what it was like before." Canonically, the time she was awake in between cryosleep is just a couple months.
That's true. She has not experienced her own life.
So all of that cryo sleep, how much PTO do you think she's accrued?
Oh yeah,
she deposited $5 in her bank account, and now she's a millionaire.
Cash in that 401k and go to the wood planet or whatever chill planet there is. I don't think there are any, but
go to the wood planet.
I would go to the candy.
The candy
planet.
Apes, but they're not so big.
Ship yourself over to Star Trek and go to Ryza.
Yeah. Totally. The warden
vacation planet.
The warden tells the fellas that they got themselves a lady, and so they need to be nice.
The warden? Oh, you mean Super Nintendo Anderson?
Yes.
Not to make too many comparisons, this is where the first speech that Dylan gives, he interrupts the rumor control meeting to give a prayer at the beginning.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like, he has such the bringer of law vibes from Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah.
Like, we're not animals. God made us terrible, but we can rise up.
The thing that's crazy about it is the theatrical cut removes a lot of the like religious and prisoner characterization. So they become just wallpaper in the theatrical cut.
Oh, I couldn't tell any of them apart other than like 3 guys.
So like the movie suffered from the monk aspect.
They're all dressed
at least
the same.
way it was played.
They're all dressed the same, and they all have shaved heads.
This is a good time to get into the monks, the prisoners, the named characters in this movie. So there are a couple of writers in this movie, as we've discussed already at great length. David Giler and Walter Hill and Vincent Ward and Eric Red all have named characters in the movie. There is Pete Postlewaite plays David Postlewaite. Paul McGann plays Walter Golick. Victor is an unnamed character. I found Victor with his blood on the wall. I think that David Fincher named these characters himself because he was so pissed. I think that he was so upset that he figured I can just fucking kill all these characters in the movie as stand-ins for the writers that put me in this position. That's just my little fan theory about this movie, but I don't see anything that makes that not possible.
No, that would make some sense, and especially since they all have very. I mean,
so yeah, there's a couple of stretches. Larry Ferguson, I figured Leonard Dylan, probably a Larry, and then Ronald Shusett. There's Robert Morse, but I'm like, that seems really pointed. That cannot be a coincidence that like 6 of the 12 writers have named characters in the movie, all of which die.
Yeah. Honestly, by the time we got to the end, other than Rock, I was like, I don't remember why this one dude's alive or which dude this was from the beginning.
He made and it's not in the theatrical version, so it doesn't make any sense. But in the assembly cut, he says, I made a pact with God and he's going to keep me alive, basically.
Also, I got to chime in on Dylan here. So Dylan is quoting the famous sermon from Jonathan Edwards, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. Which, you know, for as apocalyptic and dark as their theology and their outlook is, that works. But it is wild to have a black man on screen quoting Jonathan Edwards, because Jonathan Edwards was one of the first and foremost pastors who was a slavery apologist and actually believed that enslavement was to the benefit of black people and that God had placed black people into slavery to civilize them. So I don't know if it was like a conscious thing or like, I don't know how much Fincher or whoever wrote that bit of this in knows about Jonathan Edwards, but like, it's a very interesting choice.
I mean, yeah, taking place on a prison.
In a prison where they're being forced to work.
Forced
where
labor.
they're chosen to stay.
Which was
their
the
own salvation
of the 13th.
That's the other thing.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
What'd you say, bro?
That they've chosen to stay.
They're not forced to work.
Yeah.
Well, and so for one bit of like muckety muck here, and I'll leave it at this. But so Jonathan Edwards is also like a Calvinist. And in the Calvinistic perspective, humanity is completely depraved and is persevering towards salvation constantly. It's a very like workman, very Protestant work ethic kind of stuff.
Evolving above the base nature and base desires, which is, these guys are, it's really about not raping.
Which again, tying into the metaphor of the Alien series as a whole, having this planet full of ascetic monks who are trying to not be sex offenders anymore.
Which is why they became monks. Yeah,
exactly. I just to get out of the muckety muck, but like, I just thought that was a very interesting choice, whether it was conscious or not.
Well, doesn't he quote him again?
Yeah, he quotes him throughout the whole movie. He quotes him like 3 or 4 times.
So, and those other times, at least 2 of the other times, aren't in the theatrical cut. Because he gives long sermons. There's multiple rumor control meetings that are cut from the theatrical release.
So
rumor control. That is what it is, but it's so funny.
Yeah.
Just like, and we want to address the fact that Bill has cooties. That is not true.
But if
Bill does not have cooties, right, Bill? Thanks, guys.
But if you're afraid, you can still get a cooties shot. Crisscross.
We'll be doing that in the employee lounge.
So Ripley gets woken up by Clemens, aka Charles Dance. He's the prison's chief medical officer. He tells her she's the only survivor of the crash. He tells her about the forge and the work the prisoners do forging things.
Well, she gets up to walk around in her birthday suit.
Yeah.
This is one of the things. There's not a lot of changes in the beginning of the movie for the assembly cut, but there's a fucking incredible shot of Charles Dance wearing this duster, walking around on the surface of the planet, just kind of aimless, but with purpose. It's really weird. He just is like furiously trudging across the silhouetted background. And then he finds Ripley on the beach and carries her in his arms into the station. And instead, we just get him waking her up on a bed, going like, hey, gal, you can't stay here. You know, like, it's a weird choice.
Look at the way she was dressed.
Oh no.
So Ripley insists on seeing Newt's body and doing an autopsy to make sure there's no alien inside it. They do the autopsy. And
one of the darkest moments in the franchise, maybe?
Yeah. We just
and Newt's face, the like horrified fossilized face.
No, this is fucked up.
So
we got like remember
the
affirmative cute little
This
Newt.
isn't even the worst. So there were screenings of this movie, lost footage, like truly lost footage of arguably the goriest scene in an alien movie. Those sounds and Charles Dance ripping open her chest were parts of a longer sequence of us watching him cut her fucking chest open.
Jesus.
They said that the cast and crew that were like there on the day of were like really upset by it, really sickened by it. And then when they got to the screenings, like people were actually sick and like walked out. And it like ground the whole thing to a halt and like, oh, well, we should take that out of the movie right now, like burn the footage.
I mean, again, it was a cute 80s.
Already terrible scene was infinitely worse.
This is the autopsy of a cute kid sidekick from an 80s action movie.
So this is where, Jay, we were talking while we were watching this movie. There are a lot of things that David Fincher does throughout the making of this movie that seem like he's trying to get in trouble. He's like that kid who'd been told, like, stop talking. And he starts throwing notes, you know, like writing things on his hand and showing them to people. I think that him making one of the most upsetting graphic scenes in a movie ever was him being like, fuck it. They didn't tell me I couldn't. Like,
I mean, if you're going to kill the kid, you made it,
the envelope. Yeah. Well, and I think that he was not happy about that. Like, oh, okay, well, this is what's going to happen. You know, you wrote it in there. Let's do it then.
Like we said earlier, it's like just starting a movie like Short Round's dead. Not he's gone and we're going to ignore that. He's fucking dead. We're going to cut him open.
Fincher likes to push the envelope with violent imagery, or even like sometimes
what's in the box.
I mean, even like sometimes he portrays violence in ways that are very, or I should say, even like the after effects of violence in ways that are very clinical and almost detached feeling. And that's sort of the vibe I got from that. It's sort of like in Zodiac, when the Zodiac killer is killing people actively, and it's very much almost a derealized kind of feeling.
Yeah, very violence. Detached and cold.
Yeah.
So then they have a funeral for Newton Hicks, and Dylan gives another speech as
cremating the bodies in the furnace.
Yeah, exactly. She wants to make sure that any alien eggs get destroyed. Meanwhile,
she claims cholera.
Yeah,
and the doctor The doctor backs her up with a wink and a nod.
She's had sleep diarrhea.
I love that. Maybe it's not in the theatrical version, but when she first says to him, like, we need to cut open the body, cholera, he goes, there hasn't been a case of cholera in over 200 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he says that.
So yeah, when he says that to the warden, it's very like, oh, they're in cahoots now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and they get real in cahoots later on. So meanwhile, the dog is no more because an alien has burst forth. I guess the dog's name was Spike. Old Spike.
Yeah, we've never seen that before, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. That's the thing.
I mean, like, yeah, it's literally the thing. Which
when they showed him earlier with the marks on his face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just you felt bad for that dog.
This movie is just so overwhelmingly dark and bleak. I find it hard to enjoy. It's just shaved head people in the dark being angry or scared.
Or horny.
I think that was Fincher's. I think that Fincher was doing a thing in response. I'm going to keep saying
he was trying to.
Really do.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that thumbing his nose at the, like, you want to make this movie, any alien movie can make money. Well, let's see how dark
Matrix 4.
Money. Exactly. The Wachowskis on Matrix 4.
Which was the Wachowskis. Matrix 4 was the Wachowskis saying, oh, you want a Matrix movie? Here you go, motherfucker.
Sell this
Take
shit.
this.
Yeah. Matrix 4 was wild.
So this is our first non-human xenomorph?
Yes. Yeah, that we've seen on screen, yeah.
Oh, that gestated
in a non-human.
Yeah.
Because Jonesy got out scot-free. Jonesy's
Oh my
long.
God, a cat alien? Oh, that would have been terrifying.
Because he would have kept wanting to come in, and then you'd open the door, but he wouldn't. He'd just sit there.
I've met some face hugger cats.
He'd just keep bringing you dead humans. Like, he'd be like, stop that, please.
I brought you a present.
on my pillow.
And then knocking your coffee cup off the desk.
I have a question about the dog alien. So this is one of those secondary edits where they have the face hugger inside the drop ship when we see the dog barking at it, right?
Yeah.
That's not in the assembly cut because the dog isn't a part of the movie. The dog isn't even in the movie. Like, it's weird. But this whole sequence is happening, right? And it's just so weird. They wanted the alien to happen earlier so you could have the suspense of the alien. There's a face hugger inside the thing. Where did Ripley's, spoiler alert, where did Ripley's fucking alien come from? Where did her face hugger come from?
I mean, because
there were two.
Were there two eggs?
There must have been, but like I got the feeling that her pod wasn't destroyed until she crashed because otherwise she would have died.
Yeah. So it got her afterwards and then came off. Like, it's just this weird sequence of events that's like, just there's no real way to
right. Well, and
line them up.
And it's described in IMDb and Wikipedia as being an alien queen inside her.
Yeah.
And so
in the Gibson script that became the comic book, there is a face hugger chest burster that is inside Newt when she drowns. So as Newt drowns, it crawls out of her mouth and into Ripley's mouth.
Jesus.
Which
that actually would make sense then, because Ripley in the assembly cut washed up on shore. She wasn't found in the thing, and they say that Newt drowned. That would make a lot.
So
yeah, there's a connection there that doesn't make sense in the film they've made.
Yeah, at all. Like, so, and the location of the eggs and where was the queen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They've done all kinds of retroactive stuff. Like, they came out with the Blu-ray. Now the Blu-ray screen, the menu screen, is the Sulaco. And there's a little blinking red lights from the landing gear in the back.
Jesus.
To show that that's where the alien egg was, so that we don't ask those questions. It's like Palpatine returning in Fortnite almost, but like 12 years later instead of 6 weeks before or whatever.
Somehow the alien has returned.
Which I'll accept, but like, damn, at least make it make sense inside the movie you just made.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Like, please.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend the next 3 decades of my life going, but where was the other egg? Why are there so many questions?
Would have been easier to explain if it had just been a wood planet.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
There's cracks everywhere. We try to keep the
You
bugs
just
out.
snuck in here.
What happens on a wood planet stays on a wood planet.
Unless it's a splinter.
Yeah. So
Right
Ripley
in that foot.
Ripley shaves her head and I assume her pubes and has lunch.
I guess, yeah, lice was the problem. She wasn't trying to get ready for Charles' dance.
Has lunch.
When they asked
Gotta
her,
have that scene.
they asked her, would you shave your head for the movie? Her response, of course, was what everyone's response should be. For more money.
Yes, absolutely.
Respect.
Yeah. And apparently for some of the reshoots, she had to wear a bald cap because it took so long. Her hair was regrowing.
She was already making $4 million. I've shaved my head on a dare.
Yeah. I shaved my head.
$4 million.
I shaved my head because it was COVID and I fucked it up.
I did this shit for free. This is just how I wear my hair.
Right.
It's cheaper than a barber.
Exactly.
Jay showed up to my house to watch
$4
the movie, and we had both just shaved our heads.
Yeah.
You mentioned $4 million paycheck for Sigourney. Michael Biehn made more money for this movie, paying to have his photo next to his dead corpse than he made in Aliens. With all of those speaking lines.
That's incredible.
Weird.
Good for him, though.
Yeah.
You know, he almost sued them. He like threatened to sue because he thought they had an alien bursting out of his body double, the cast they had made of his body. Luckily, that wasn't the case. They just had it, and it was dismembered from the pole. But he was like, "If you kill me with an alien, that's like a plot point." You know, I'm in the movie at that point.
Dude has a good agent.
He literally he said later in a quote, like, I wish I hadn't, because he called Fincher himself and like laid into David Fincher.
Oh shit.
Michael Biehn did. So I imagine, 30-year-old Michael Biehn yelling at 22-year-old David Fincher, "You piece of shit using my body in this fucking movie. I'm in Hollywood. I will ruin your career." And Fincher being like, "Oh no, dude, we stuck a pole through it because they made me kill you in the movie. Like, everything's fine." Michael Biehn later on, years later, recounting the story, said, "I wish I hadn't been such a dick. Had I known his career was going to go on to be so fucking amazing, because I would have loved to be in one of his movies."
That just goes to show, just don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Don't be an asshole to people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You meet him on the way back down.
Again, just bullet pointing. Man, this dude was having a rough time at work.
Yeah.
For real. Imagine you're getting called from a star of a movie that he's not even in your movie, and he's yelling at you.
You're like, "I love you, Michael Biehn.
You have no control over.
I love you.
Terminator and Aliens are my favorite." And he's like, "Fuck you, kid."
Go make your Nike shows.
Worst day at work ever.
Yeah. So, all right. Ripley has lunch, but the only one that's nice to her in the lunchroom is Rock. Everyone else is all horned up and religious and mean girl.
Well, this is one of my favorite Ripley things probably in the entire Alien series, because she says, "Thank you for the funeral. It was beautiful words. They would have appreciated that. Lady, I am not your friend. I am a murderer and rapist of women." And her response is amazing, because it's not, "Oh shit, this guy's scary." It's, "I must make you real nervous then," and sits down.
Yeah.
That's about as badass and terrifying as you can be in response to that. Like,
yeah,
Dottie, there are things about me you wouldn't understand.
Yeah. Well, she earned her like prison yard respect from him in that moment, because after that he's like, "All right, I'll play nice. Like, I'll look out for her."
She's hard.
Yeah.
Like, now I don't have to stab you in the neck.
Yeah, no, but after these last two movies, she's like, "I do not give a fuck about."
Oh yeah, she's like, "No, really, kill me. I want to die."
So later on, she bones Tywin Lannister while another prisoner is getting thrown into a fan by an alien.
He looks so good in this movie, let's be real. And you guys didn't get to see him in that duster carrying her like a baby. Very real.
I was saying to Brian, it was weird. It's funny to me watching that movie because everything else I've seen Charles dance in, he's been an old man as long as I can remember. And like seeing him like hot and young, like I'm Charles Dance. Like I was like, I get it. I get why people talk about him the way they do. Same with like old dude in Roadhouse.
Charles Dance is. I'll keep talking about people talking about this movie because I'm just fascinated with the production of this movie. He praises David Fincher at every moment he gets to talk about this movie. And I swear to God, it's because that scene that they cut out of the movie where he just looks like he is hot to trot, fucking walking around on this alien planet and then carrying the world's most dangerous woman in his
cowboy
like
shit.
A baby.
Yeah.
I would be so upset if I were Charles Dance. Like, damn, I just meet her at my job then? That's lame.
I just meet her at my
kind
job.
of cute is this?
Yeah, the dude dies because he falls into a fan after getting a face full of acid spit at him.
Poor guy. Poor criminal.
Oh, in this scene, there's a part. This is one of those things that is like a two-legged stool that doesn't make any sense. He's poking his head in the hole, going, "Hey, Spike! Hey, Spike! Hey, Spike!" In the assembly cut, he is looking for the dog that doesn't exist. It's really weird.
Back in the bedroom after the world's worst pillow talk, Charles Dance gets called and they go find the body that got fanned. He notices that there's something has melted some of the ever-present metal grating that makes up 90% of the floors in the alien universe.
Solid metal's expensive, man.
Everything's a metal grate. Everything is a metal grate. Every walkable surface. Why does it always have to be a sluice, like something you can sluice liquids through? Is that
I would accessibility so you can repair it when the micrometeor flies through your ship or something?
This is on a planet.
It looks cool, bro.
No, but he's right. All the movies, yeah.
That's very true.
It's not as in space. Steel is not as plentiful as wood.
Maybe
so
that's
you got to do what you
maybe they're fortunate. It's like a vertical monopoly. They're like, well, first you build the steel panels, and then you build the space stations, and you sell yourself the steel panels, and then you send the people.
And then
they got that Field of Dreams logic.
Yeah.
Build it, and they'll come.
First, you build a grate.
It's called
people will walk over it.
Homer said it best. First you get the steel, then you get the power, then you get the women.
Then you get the women.
First you get the field, then you get the dreams, then you get the ball players.
The ghost
baseball team.
That's going to be how I'm going to summarize every movie now. First you get the thing, then you get the something, then you get the
Scarface method. Yeah. Then you get sleepy.
That's it. First you get the droid, then you get the lightsaber, then you blow up a planet.
Then you get the women. It always ends with the women.
Then you kiss your sister.
I can do that for free, Holmes.
So then Charles Dance goes and finds Ripley. She's scavenging the flight recorder, tells her about the melted metal. Then Charles Dance and the warden have a meeting. I just realized throughout all my notes, I just referred to him strictly as Charles Dance every single time.
So this is a scene. There's a couple, again, the fucking assembly cut and the theatrical cut are so different. One is not better than the other. He says, I've got a meeting that I have to get to. And it immediately cuts to his boss fucking chewing him out.
Mm-hmm.
And it works so well as comedy. You piece of shit, whatever. The assembly cut has him like wandering in, having this long conversation, the warden like serving him tea and saying, would you like sugar? And then handing him the thing, like setting the thing down and not serving him sugar in his tea. Like it's such a subtle thing instead of just the comedy bit of like, I have a meeting I have to go to. You piece of shit. It works so much better in the theatrical cut.
They weren't paying that man enough for whatever he was doing. Like his character, whatever they were paying him was not enough for this bullshit.
Well, and he dies so unceremoniously. He's just in the middle of a sentence, and all of a sudden, whoop, up he goes.
Yeah, I must have looked away because I was like, he died? Because Fuck, what does that mean, assembly cut? I guess I'm unfamiliar with that term.
It's not a director's cut. That's the thing. So a director's cut being the director came back and used footage that.
No, I know what that means. What is an assembly cut?
Okay, wait.
But assembly cut, it doesn't have the director's name attached to it.
Okay. That is okay. So they call this the assembly cut of Alien 3, and that is a specific thing they call this. But an assembly cut in general is the first cut of a film before they cut anything out. You have everything, and then they start cutting things down to the director's cut. Then
that's what I gathered from context clues, but I was just okay.
Yeah.
So they
like a working edit, basically.
Yeah, that has everything. Nothing's cut out. It's everything you shot, every scene you shot. It's all in there.
But also, this isn't exactly that because it has stuff that's not in the.
They call it that because it's not a director's cut, and they wanted a name to put on the websites that are promoting it.
And not to, this is a little late in the show to be talking about it, but the assembly cut came with the quadrilogy when they released Resurrection and all the other movies on DVD. For that, they had Ridley Scott and James Cameron come in and interview and talk about their movies. And I forget who was it, the French guy that made Resurrection 2. He talks about his movie. One person is absent, and it's David Fincher. So they have Ridley Scott and James Cameron, and then the cast and some of the producers talk about Alien 3. It's really weird. It's a really weird thing to watch. It's like ignoring the elephant in the room, like, oh yeah, no, there was no director for this film, basically. Except for people saying like, oh, David was great. He was so great. We love him. It's a weird thing to have come to exist. There was a VHS that was flying around the internet that people had compiled with a lot of these scenes and a couple of extra ones. And so people knew it existed, kind of Snyder cut kind of thing.
Yeah.
I hope as he gets older, one day, David Fincher either gets to like that Quincy Jones level of I don't give a fuck, or like he just has peace as a person to talk about how he felt making this movie.
Yeah,
He's talked. Those 3 times have been in the last 5 years, so I think that's happening. I think that this movie's starting to get a lot of love from Alien fans because it's so weird and it's such a mess, and it's not really his fault that he's like aware of it now. It's finally breached his like protective bubble of like, I don't talk about Alien 3.
So
that's the first rule of Alien 3.
Don't talk about Alien 3.
David Fincher knows. He started Fight Club. No, I guess
so yeah, the warden tells Charles Dance that Weyland-Yutani called, and they say, don't let anything happen to Ripley. We want her.
Hey, girl.
Weyland-Yutani here.
You up?
The warden, though, doesn't want her around the other prison population because girls be shopping. Then Ripley goes dumpster diving for androids. She finds the Bishop torso and in the dump, and on the way back to the lab, she almost gets gang raped.
This at this point, the Bishop animatronic was the most complex animatronic that had ever been used in a film, which is crazy.
Yes,
because like shortly after this, it's Jurassic Park.
I was about to say,
yeah,
Jurassic Park probably took that though.
Yeah, a year later,
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Spielberg talks about how scared he was when he first saw the T-Rex.
Yeah.
Like without irony, you know, he was just like, "What the fuck?"
Mm-hmm. So Ripley gets saved by Dylan from the gang rape. She goes back.
Also, this is the worst musical moment in the movie.
Which a gang rape tends to be.
Like literally, it's signified, but it's signified by like 90s hard rock, not even heavy metal. Like, and it's like, what the fuck is this? Is this like a car race?
Yeah.
Scene? Like it just doesn't.
Honestly,
the sting that you would want for
give it weight, make it silent. Don't be a coward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we get what's his face, Junior, who goes and then gets knocked out. It's a very weird scene.
Yeah,
Jeremy's right. We were just talking about that, about the quiet violence David Fincher can, you know, like that scene in Zodiac where the kids are killed by the lake. That's brutal. The way that but it's so quiet and serene.
Oh,
it's almost peaceful.
I was showing my partner that movie for the first time. They hadn't seen it. And that moment happened. And it was just like, can you pause this? I gotta take a second. Right. Like, that was crazy.
Ooh, yeah. That scene, man. That one and the scene when with the picnickers.
Yep.
Well, that's the one I mean.
Not the
by
beginning.
The lake.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's the one. The lake.
The only one where he's spotted in his mask.
That right.
But every murder that's depicted is brutal. But again, the whole movie is very quiet and very, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's tension building rather than
no. The parts that are like that. The all the murders are very like by the number, like straightforward, like. This is what's occurring. And then you start getting movie stuff in the investigation, in the press room, and with the cops. And Mark Ruffalo always wanting, what is it he's always eating in that movie?
Animal crackers.
Yeah.
And just anything. He's constantly eating Anthony, whatever his name is. Do you know that's that cop that he's playing is who Dirty Harry was based on?
Yes, yes. That's amazing. Because, dude,
I wish that Clint Eastwood had kept the animal cracker always munching while he's investigating.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
That would have been, but Clint's like, I don't eat animal crackers. I eat square unsalted crackers.
He's like, I chew up Lucky Strikes.
Exactly. I invented Triscuits by eating this rug.
No. I will never forget the Dirty Harry line where he has he's chewing out at another cop and he's like, nobody puts ketchup on a hot dog.
Makes him so mad.
It did. It made like Dirty Harry so mad. Yeah. So all right. So Ripley goes back to the infirmary and turns Bishop back on. And Bishop confirms that a facehugger came with them. And the Weyland-Yutani knew about it. Weyland-Yutani always knows about it. Because they know everything. Then the alien kills 3 guys. I don't know which guys. I don't care which guys. 3 guys get killed.
Yeah,
3 men died.
Doesn't really matter in the assembly cut either. They just kind of get cut down real quick.
Ripley tells the warden what happened with the alien previously and suggests that they should work together to hunt it down. Warden says... And
more incredulity or if I'm saying that. But just like, are you kidding me?
An alien from another planet came with...
In the assembly cut, they lean into that more with the crazy guy, the serial killer who's always kind of laughing. And he's the first, he has all the blood on him and he's in the straight coat.
Yeah.
They capture him because they think he murdered the first guy in the fan and then the second guy.
Okay. So
that's like, it's all kind of building up to him being this like, oh, maybe it's him. Oh, no, it's actually the alien thing. Ripley's not telling anybody anything. She's not saying, well, last time I fought an alien.
Yeah.
She's kind of being cagey about it.
Right.
Which makes me wonder, is the alien queen inside her making her be cagey about it? Because you think she'd be like, there are aliens. They're dangerous. I was sent by the company to kill them with a bunch of Marines, and they killed everyone. She should be saying this out loud, right?
Well, I think there's also a calculation there.
She says that.
She says it later.
Well, then
like way later.
I think there's also the calculation that in her mind, she has a plan. Like, her plan is, I'm going to get this thing killed, and then I'm going to kill myself so that these things don't get anywhere else. And I think her whole thing is, if she gives too much away and anyone figures out the part where she's infected, she's worried that she won't get to see out the plan because they might kill her. And then she can't handle the thing that's already running around.
Yeah.
She's probably also tired of trying to convince idiots.
Yeah.
Like, I waste a lot of time. I waste a lot of time trying to convince some man that these things are deadly.
Like you.
Hey, men think they can fight any animal.
Yes.
Right. And that's exactly right. They do. Whether it's Mike Tyson or a tiger, they think they can just step in the ring.
Yeah, no, Paul Reiser. Like Paul Reiser thought he could handle the aliens. Come on.
You and me, kiddo. We'll sell this thing to the company. Come on, kiddo.
Yeah, come on.
I'm so glad he
bring one home. They're neat.
Whatever.
Yeah. Don't you want to see one under a Christmas trees, little fellas?
In every home. Just hugging your face like it loves you.
Hugging it.
Imagine
good.
opening that present.
Bursts out.
While your dad cackles behind a video camera.
Like he didn't see it coming.
You dumb bastard.
Enjoy your last Christmas,
stupid kids.
Did you not have that tab? There's that just me.
So all right. Then Charles Dance, back in the infirmary, tells Ripley about his sordid past, why he was sent to the prison planet, and then the alien just pulls him into the ceiling and he's gone. Goodbye, Charles Dance.
He went to a better place.
I can guess how you got here.
Yeah, he went to the Last Action Hero.
Yeah,
Cabo?
In the theatrical version, he dies how he lived in his job, just staying at his job, doing his job.
Everyone,
yeah, just it just they did him so dirty in the theatrical version of this movie.
How does he die in the assembly cut?
The same way, but at least he had went somewhere besides his job in the whole movie.
He got to take a walk on the beach.
It's it's like dying in your cubicle, being discovered days later.
I mean,
that just happened in Tempe.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Moon just told me about that yesterday.
Sorry.
4 days.
Look, breaking it down
crazy.
to its barest essence.
In a bank.
In a bank. And I'm sure that Wells Fargo's been like, you can't work remotely. You need to be here. And then nobody notices.
For team building. Team building.
Yeah. Exactly.
If I have to take one more goddamn team building thing where we're assigned colors to explain our personalities.
Oh, team building exercises.
Thoreau, would you quit being a blue and be a chartreuse?
Brian, that is such a green thing to say.
Taking a Braxton Myers.
Yeah.
Never mind. Go ahead.
So, anyways, Charles Dance is dead. So Ripley runs to the cafeteria and it's like, everybody, aliens, Charles Dance is dead. And the warden's like, no, he's not. Don't be stupid. And then the warden dies.
The moral of the story is, if you feel like you should call out of work that day, just go ahead and do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. You feel that nagging feeling like, if I go to work, am I going to be eviscerated by some god-awful eldritch thing from space? I should probably just take that PTO.
Yeah, exactly.
But okay, so we did so there, I skipped over the scene where the alien comes up in Ripley's face and then doesn't kill her. The famous shot had happened there. But so essentially the alien was like, you're cool. Don't come to school tomorrow.
You guys we can all see that shot. People listening can see that shot in their brains because it's like
the famous shot from the
iconic shot.
Yeah.
From like all three movies. It's
iconic.
Like it's arguably like if you showed people that shot, they know exactly what we're talking about. They gave David Fincher, they being the production team, explicit directions. Do not shoot the alien close up. Do not shoot its face. Just don't. You can't. This puppet's not good enough or whatever. We don't want that. This is the most iconic shot in all of Alien.
Mm-hmm.
And he was breaking a rule.
Yeah, Fincher's good at what he does for sure.
He made them put the lip in the animatronic so that he could do it again. I think when Charles Dance dies, I think we see the lip do the thing, just briefly. But he was forcing teams to do stuff that was not necessary if they weren't going to do these things. He's pushing the limits.
And I think that's where he benefited from being a music director, because if you have to get everybody on board in 3 minutes and 33 seconds, then you've got to be visually stimulating. You've got to tell a story. I got 3 minutes.
Yeah,
I tell you, this Aerosmith tale.
He's like, listen, whether Janie has a gun or the dude looks like a lady, you got to get in and tell the story.
Yeah, a band of guys that basically do what Janie's did.
Yeah. Are you in an elevator? Are you in love? Then come on down.
I'm gonna feel you up.
Yeah. Do you like to sexualize your daughter in a Catholic schoolgirl outfit? Then you too could be Aerosmith. Anyways, the warden's dead. The inmates decide to put the lady in charge. They literally are
That's the patriarchy.
They literally at one say like, we haven't had a woman in charge before. Maybe she should do it.
Well,
We've never had.
She's a colonel at that point, right?
Yeah, they say you're an officer.
I think
Lieutenant Ripley.
Lieutenant.
Yeah.
A lieutenant. Yeah.
And still she persevered.
An officer in what? The Wayland-Yutani Corporation?
Yeah, like a ship officer, like you would be as a merchant marine or like a person who works
Right, that's a good way.
I mean, she's literally been in service at this point for like 4 billion years.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
Yeah.
But again,
the science
in her
officer.
mind, it was less than 6 months ago that she woke up.
Yeah.
like who on
After
tenure?
57 years.
Who on tenure
Who holds
outranks her at that company at this point?
Right.
Well, and you got to love the political system based on we were going to hump you to death the day before. Now we'd like you to be the prime minister.
Well, I mean,
That sounds very Australian, actually.
It does. If you
didn't
can
know how-
survive.
how threatening the situation was, I think.
Well, yeah.
Everybody's sexism goes away when the most heroic among you is a woman.
Yeah, I was gonna say they realized they weren't built different the way that she was. They were like,
Sure. But you know there were pockets of dudes. They were like, fuck this. Why were we listening to her? Yesterday was.
We were.
I mean, yeah.
They're like, listen, she has an innie, not an outie. We can't. We can't.
It's interesting, the assembly cut, not that
And
the crew, the gang of people, you know, all the prisoners, they all follow Dylan so closely that once Dylan kind of anoints her as the leader, they all kind of fall in line with like 2 exceptions.
They're basically like, Howard Johnson's right.
About
well, I mean, so because let's be real, the only other person in this movie who's built like that, like her, is Dylan, and we see that shit later.
Mm-hmm.
He's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's like, fill me up with lead. I want it.
I'll drink it up. I drink your milkshake.
I drink your milk.
I drink your forging vat.
That scene out of context is amazing. I drink.
It is if
your
you don't,
milkshake.
because it's such a literal analogy. But if you, out of context, it's like that dude's threatening to take that dude's milkshake.
That dude loves milkshakes.
This whole situation seems like little dick energy, but if you watch it in context,
yes.
I'm gonna take your fucking milkshake and your pixie sticks. Now get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Tomorrow you better have more lunch money.
Exactly. It's like, oh no, he means a literal straw.
So Ripley says they're gonna pour the liquid metal or pour flammable toxic waste into the ventilation system and ignite it to flush out the alien. They're gonna try to trap him in the they've got a toxic waste cave that they're gonna put it in.
We have those.
Yeah.
I saw that band one time.
Toxic waste cave.
Toxic waste cave. That's a vagina euphemism, isn't it? Yeah, there's one out in 27 Palms. Where is it? That's the Patton area.
Mm-hmm.
A cave filled with nuclear waste.
Yeah. That's out by Chiriaco, yeah.
29 yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Ripley goes to scan herself using the escape pod's medical equipment, and she sees the embryo of the alien inside her, and she discovers that Wayland-Yutani wants to turn the aliens into biological weapons. Ripley asks Dylan to kill her. He agrees, but only if she helps them kill the alien first. So they decide to lure it inside the molding facility and pour molten lead on top of it.
So this is the most important thing that's cut from the assembly cut. There is a 15-minute sequence of them working together, pouring, what do they call it? Trinitro, some made-up chemical, whatever. But
unobtainium.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
like
and then over here, wood.
It's like radioactive waste that's flammable.
Quinitrocetylene.
Trinitrocetylene. Quinitrocetylene. But they're pouring it everywhere. They're putting it all over the place. They're trying to make it to where the alien will be flushed into the chamber, the storage thing. And Junior...
highly flammable.
The highly flammable room. Junior has it follow it in there. He sacrifices himself. He's the would-be rapist had he not been knocked out by what's-his-face. And then they capture the alien. The alien's caught. It's kind of game over. Then he goes to him and says, "We should kill this thing, dude, because they're gonna kill it. You should kill me too." And while they're having that conversation, the murdery dude who was in the straitjacket goes and kills the guard and lets the alien out, and then gets eaten by the alien because he thinks it's a demon that's talking to him or whatever. Like, what do I do next? And then it eats him. But all of that being gone, it's so weird watching this movie without that, because it's like, damn, these guys they're just inept. They just suck. It's like a group of idiots. They're a group of idiots that work together to capture the alien. Versus a group of idiots that just get picked off until Ripley kills herself, basically.
Apes strong together.
For real, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because the plan
bringer of the law
results in everybody dying except for Alan and Dylan and Ripley. They all die in the next 5 minutes.
So, wasn't that the cast of 90210?
But they do eventually lure it into the mold where Dylan sacrifices himself to keep the alien down there to pour lead on it. Turns out alien can survive molten lead. He starts crawling up, but then
like born and raised in a molten bath.
It has acid blood. I mean,
yeah, you know,
you got to hit it with something basic. Come on.
But then Ripley activates the sprinklers, which, because the alien's so hot, it makes him explode from the cold water.
Yes. Basically, the lead shrinks and then expands.
Yeah.
From the inside out.
Yeah, you can make a coffee pot explode that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My lead coffee pot.
That explains a lot, Thoreau.
Gotta have it
really
so that
does.
Superman can't see inside of it.
Yeah. I don't want Kryptonians knowing what my coffee's like.
It's just harmless phosphorescence. Don't worry.
Very deep cut.
Yeah. So then the Weyland-Yutani team arrives. There's the one dude who's like covered up in like a suit with like surgical like mask and everything, and everyone else is just normal. I'm like, why is this one guy? Because if that's the guy that's going to operate on Ripley, he doesn't need to wear that until they get into the operating room.
You know what? No, fuck a sterile environment. He's gonna do that shit right now. He's like Bill O'Reilly. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Like,
We'll do it right now.
You know that somebody has a bone saw just hidden behind their back.
Oh yeah.
They're talking
no, as soon as they get Ripley, they're like, all right.
Ripley.
Yeah.
It'll be great. We'll give you candy and there will be a pony.
It's
literal Scooby-Doo.
It's going to be like RFK with a whale on the beach. They're just taking a chainsaw to her.
Can you help me get this meat home? Like
I love that they're always 3 weeks from everywhere.
Yes. It's like driving in the valley.
It's just like they'll be here in 3 weeks. God damn, they don't have anyone closer. No.
Zeno's paradox of space. Every 3 weeks you travel, you hit another 3 weeks.
Just over and over.
than a non-android bishop's there. Is that Wayland? Because in Alien versus Predator, but that also Alien versus Predator also took place like 200 years earlier. I'm very confused by this dude.
So this is, I forget what they call him, but he's like Michael Patrick Bishop Wayland or something stupid like that. So he is one of the Wayland family that works in the cybernetic department. He's not necessarily the head of the company.
Okay, because Lance Hendrickson played the original Wayland in Alien versus Predator. So this is a descendant who just happens to look exactly like him.
Really, really strong genes.
Okay.
Well, and I mean, I will say this: the Alien versus Predator universe has done everything it can to cling to the face and inject itself into the body of the Alien universe like a face hugger. It is really, really, really trying its best to make itself a part of the Alien universe with things like that. Which, whatever, it's a prerogative, but doing things like that is not going to make it any better.
No, those movies are terrible.
My favorite thing about Wayland Bishop, whatever he is the fact that he yells in almost every version of the script. Like going all the way back to fucking William Gibson's version. But I'm not a droid, as he gets his fucking head split open and blood pours out of him. Which is kind of the reverse reveal of there's an android in this movie. Think, you gotta kill that evil fucking android. And now that dude just murders that guy, which is fair. He's deserving of murder, I think. He wanted to murder Ripley.
Yeah, sure.
Tit for tat. Plus humanity with the alien.
So Ripley jumps into the furnace as a alien bursts out of her, and then she falls into the fire. We find out that they close the facilities down. Morse is the only one left alive. Is led away as Ripley's final logbook recording from the Nostromo plays. Roll credits. So, again, she had no idea that there was going to be a chest burster in that scene. She didn't film it. She was surprised at the premiere.
Yep.
This is my least favorite of the Alien films I've watched. I haven't seen Covenant.
Me too.
Yeah, I haven't seen Covenant, and I haven't seen Romulus.
Really?
I remember liking Resurrection.
Resurrection, I don't think it's a good movie. I don't think it's a better movie, but I enjoy it more.
I've seen it more.
I think I enjoy this more than I enjoy Resurrection. Just because Resurrection is camp, almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Very much camp in a lot of ways.
From time to time, yeah.
This movie is just so bleak and so dark and so depressing.
It's the franchise's goth phase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. This should have had 9 Inch Nails do the soundtrack.
Yeah. It's this, like, I understand how he went to 7 from this. It's crazy he went to The Social Network at some point, but
yeah, seriously.
7.
This movie's insane. All things considered, this movie's crazy.
Yeah. It really is. So
this should have been The Room levels of bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than it could have been, but I'm still not a big fan.
Fair.
But yeah, I don't know. Last thoughts or unanswered questions?
No,
I think
not many questions.
My unanswered questions I'll pick up in Prometheus probably.
No, that's when shit gets real crazy.
That's all questions. That's gonna not be a 2-parter, I swear.
We've got a while to that one, though.
He's like, strap in, because it's going to be a 3-parter.
Yeah.
I have consumed so much Prometheus since that movie released.
So, well, all right, let's thumb it. We will start. Go around the table. Josh, are you going to go up or down?
I don't know. Ever since you started doing the thumbs, I've had to really think about what it means.
What does it mean to thumb?
Right. So I guess I'm going to give it a thumbs up because I can't be like, ugh. You know, I don't feel a passionate thumbs down. I'm with you, Thoreau. It's a weak offering after these last two, for sure.
Yeah, 1 and 2 are so
thumbs
strong.
Up. I'll give it a thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Yeah, 1 and 2 are so strong that this coming after those feels real bad. If this had come after like Alien versus Predator or something, it would have been like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. But I'll give it a thumbs up. David Fincher.
Brian?
I'm obviously a thumbs up.
Obviously.
I love this movie, warts and all. Yeah, lots of things could have been changed as told by two versions of this movie that are very different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Jeremy, where are you going on it?
I'm going to go thumbs up with like a lot of caveats, but I think I give it a thumbs up because despite all of the sabotage that was taking place throughout the production of this, we did get a like fairly cohesive, visually interesting movie. Like I can't really give it any props for its like storytelling or dialogue, any of those sorts of things, right. But the visual language of the movie is at least engaging.
Okay.
You dig that?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Al, where are you going?
The Alien green screen turned me off. I don't know if I watched it on a different platform, if it would have looked any better, or HD, or what have you.
Nope.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, it wasn't good looking.
That was hard. When you had the practical alien, it looked just fine. The green screen alien did not. I'm not going to sink this movie on that. I give it a thumbs up because I mean, it's still an important part of the series. Like
that's what I was gonna say. If you are a fan and you want to go and like watch them all, then yeah, I could.
You can't leave this one out.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't leave this one out.
Yeah,
it is important.
So that's why I gave it a thumbs.
It sets up the next movie. Flaws, yeah. Enough flaws to thumb it down? No.
Enough to send it to a planet populated by
sex criminals.
Sex criminals.
A wooden planet.
A wooden planet.
Wooden planet.
So many splinters.
This is a double Y movie.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's a
little bit.
It's just a little.
A little too tall.
I'm done.
That leaves me. I really did not enjoy it. This most recent watch, like at all. I found it tedious and unenjoyable. I'm gonna go down.
Good for you.
Bear, like bear.
You didn't mention. What did Jude think of this movie?
He hated it.
Did you get a chance to watch it?
Yeah, he watched it with me.
That makes me so
he loved
happy.
1 and 2. He hated this one. Hated it.
That's awesome.
I'm going to be interested to see what his take on Alien Resurrection is, because that movie is crazy.
Insane.
The end of it with the whole mom stuff. Oh, yeah, no, it gets weird.
Resurrection is the one I've
weird.
seen the least of the series.
Thinking of Resurrection, that reminds me of one thing that we didn't touch on in the movie. The ADR, Josh, you mentioned that when we were texting kind of back and forth. The ADR is ridiculous from all the reshoots. There's a contested line when Ripley is saying to, what's-his-face, Dylan, kill me. She says, well, I guess I get to be the mother. And it's like, you can see her mouth moving, and if you listen real close, you can hear her say either of the year or of the apocalypse. But they just cut it to say, I guess I get to become the mother. And it's the weirdest thing ever. Both versions have it. But Mother of the Year or Mother of the Apocalypse are much better, I think, than just Mother.
Yeah.
Anyway, which we'll get to in Alien Resurrection, because she kind of does become the mother of the apocalypse or whatever.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, Resurrection is still the one that takes place the furthest into the future, right? Because Prometheus is in the past.
Yep.
And yeah,
it's still the furthest out, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's it. Next week, Alien Resurrection, our fourth in the series. And until then, thanks for hanging out with us. This has been your host, Thoreau Smiley, and I'm off to jump into the Foundry pool.
I'm Josh Cece, and I find you unpleasant to be around.
I'm Brian Lesh, and I may smell weird and act crazy, but I'm still coming with you guys.
I'm Jeremy Reed, and in space, no one may be able to hear you scream, but the friends you've made along the way can.
Like a lion, I stick close to the zebras. I'm Alaric Weber.
Are we the
Silent but
zebras,
deadly.
Al? Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
He's a predator.
I'm in danger.
I'm a magnificent specimen.
You are.
We'll see you next time.
organism.
Said that twice.
Yeah. We'll see you next time, everyone. Bye.
Bye.